Rubin, MSNBC political analyst and co-founder and editor-in-chief of The Contrarian. Also with me is Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project and former GOP strategist. Thanks to both of you for being here. Rick, let's start with this whole idea where the White House now believes that Democrats might actually stick to their knitting and the government might shut down, and that Democrats will be held responsible for it. And this is always the issue, right? If the government shuts down, who gets blamed in the long run? What's your take?
The rules used to apply. It used to be the party that shut the government down was the party that took the political hit. That doesn't apply anymore for two reasons. One, the fear that vital government services will be cut is absurd now. Donald Trump is illegally using rescission to already cut vital government services, to already fire people, to do things that where Congress has authorized and appropriated money, and then the White House reaction is, nah. So this is a new set of rules. The Democrats, I think, need to hold hard here. They need to fight this thing out because, look, what we really know this is about is that Donald Trump will do anything to make sure that they don't get a vote on the floor this week on the Epstein files.
I mean, literally, Jen Rubin. I mean, what Rick just said is the ... everything, right? All the things Donald Trump is doing is getting people to not talk about the Epstein files, and yet that continues. Things are coming out. Bloomberg got 18,000 emails. Whatever's going to come out on Epstein's going to come out. And by the way, whether Democrats vote to or not to support Republicans with this continuing resolution, as Rick says, Republicans are torching government anyway. So what's the benefit in Democrats voting in favor of this continuing resolution if they do not get what they want?
Well, they might get what they want, and there will be an election in November in some states, and it will be interesting if the shutdown is still going on then and it's a big Democratic victory where the Republicans start to look at one another. And the other thing that's going to happen is that renewal notices are going to go out for people's health care. And without the ACA subsidies, they are going to get a big wake-up call, many Americans will. So there are other events that may intervene. And I think Rick's point is exactly right. That's why the House didn't even come back. They're not even in town because they don't want to take the Epstein vote. That's why Amelia Earhart's records were released. Hey, it's somebody beginning with an E, who's in the midst of a mystery. So that's close, right? And I think what's going on here is that Trump cannot give an inch, will not give an inch, thinks he's in charge of everything. And Democrats want to make this about health care. And it is about health care. Why should they give their votes to Donald Trump to eviscerate the health care system? So we'll see how this plays out. And I think the Democratic base is going to be energized by seeing a fight. I don't think Chuck Schumer can do what he did last time, which was fold his tent. So we will see. And we'll see how the Republicans, who are in very precarious seats, both in the House and the Senate, begin to feel from the folks back home.
So, Rick, I mean, bottom line, and Jen's made this point, you've made this point, that government shuts down. This is a Republican-led House, Senate, White House. This does need to be their problem. That said, there has been a lot of pressure from the Democratic base on Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer not to do this again. I would say this. I think they kind of hear it. I'm not 100% sure that they hear it. I haven't seen a new Hakeem Jeffries and a new Chuck Schumer, right? As of last week, they were still sending letters to the president requesting a meeting. It's like, hey, why don't you find us? Because you need us to pass this continuing resolution. Right. I'm not sure Democratic leadership's fully there. I
agree with that, Ollie, because, look, we have a constraint in the minds of Schumer and I think to some degree of Jeffries, that they think this is just coming from the progressive base. It's actually coming from a lot of sides of the political equation in this country. They need to see a fight against the abuses of power, against the creeping authoritarianism, against the recklessness of the Trump administration. And that fight is not manifested by sternly worded letters. That fight is not manifested by press releases no one reads. That fight is manifested by saying to Mike Johnson, we're going to torture you until you scream and give in. We're going to tell the White House they have to come to us. The Constitution, I know the Democrats seem to forget this sometimes, it is three separate branches of government, and they have power as a constituent part of that branch, even though it's held by the Republicans in a majority. They have power, and you don't, and power only exists when you use it. So I hope that they will wake up and say, we can't write a letter saying my honorable colleague when these people are going to burn down the world.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear. John Thune and Senate leadership have encouraged there to not be a meeting. They're not saying to the president, hey,
right,
why don't we all get together and sit in a room and we got to work this out because in 3 days there's going to be a government shutdown. They're not even trying, Jen. And I think this is whether or not the government shuts down. And most normal thinking people would hope that a government doesn't shut down. We have to realize the consequence one way or the other is this Republican Party continues to torch the government, and something has to be different this time.
Absolutely. And what Rick said, I could not agree with more. I have inveighed till I am blue in the face against this notion about making it all about having a meeting or getting a phone call. This is not about having a meeting. This is not about a phone call. This is about burning down the government. This is about health care. So stop whining about a meeting or a letter or what have you. It really sounds very school childish. So I think they have to go to the American people and they say, Donald Trump wants absolute power and he wants to take away your health care. Go talk to them. American people, why don't you let the White House and your Republican representatives know how you really feel about it? The Republican Party is not popular. Democratic Party may not be popular, although I think the voters will come home to them next year. But Donald Trump is not a popular president, and he sounds crazier every day. So I think he is taking a rather significant risk. And more importantly, the House Republicans who are hoping to hang on to their seats, they're going to be toast. They can't say, well, I am an independent factor. I stood up to Donald Trump. I looked after your health care. They're goners.
And Rick, real quick, I'm going to, in the next hour, be talking to Ed Wong about the substance of what went on at the UN this week. But actually, the most important thing about what went on in the UN was not substance. It was, I think, what you called it the craziest, one of the craziest speeches you've ever heard. I mean, it was wild and wacky.
That speech was built to feed the Fox content machine, not to talk to the international community, not to establish American leadership in the world. It was Donald Trump airing his various grievances, obsessions, fetishes, whatever it is, with the way that he thinks the world works, and conspiring and making up lurid conspiracies about elevators and teleprompters. Donald Trump comes across as a petty, small man in a speech like that at a moment where other presidents of both parties have used that platform and that stage to elevate themselves. There's a reason why Donald Trump has vastly negative ratings in every aspect, including and especially now foreign policy, because he's just terrible at this work. And he doesn't care to be good at it. He doesn't care to be big. He doesn't care to represent the country. He only represents himself.
I don't think you guys give him enough credit. He ended 7 wars and 3 pre-wars. Still trying to figure out what a pre-war is. I keep asking ChatGPT, what's a pre-war? Thanks to both of you, friends. I appreciate it. Jennifer Rubin, co-founder and editor